Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Edward Elgar Publishing. It's an independent publishing house which deals with academic works primarily, and this one is a particularly interesting book on the law of treaties. It's got the title Research Handbook on the Law of Treaties. I'm going to go through it in a moment. Let's have a look at the book first of all. This is what it looks like. You can see the front of it there. You've got the side spine, and then you've got the back of it there. You can see it's part of the Research Handbook, Handbooks in International Law, published by Edward Elgar, and the editors are Christian J. Tams, Antonius Tzanakopoulos, and Andreas Zimmerman, with additional help from Athene E. Richford. Now, obviously, I hope I pronounced these names correctly. The book itself, you can see, deals specifically with, you've got a very useful index at the back there. And then what we're talking about after that is specific chapter headings. What you've got is you've got the chapter number, and then you've got a paragraph number there. You do have very substantial footnotes at the bottom, and you can see that there is a lot of detail all the way through. There are, as I say, there's not a lot of paragraph numbering at all, but the actual title, the actual chapters run through quite nicely. Then you normally have some form of conclusion at the end of each of the chapters. Now at the front, what you've got is the actual structure. These are the people who've written the book. This is the other books in the area. That's the Research Handbooks on International Law itself. And then after that you've got the contents section there, and then that runs through to actually 5 parts in total. You've then got the contributors who are listed there on the second page, and then you've got a preface which has actually been written by the main editors of the publication. Then an introduction again, which sets out in more detail what we're looking at in terms of treaties and international law and where we are at the moment. Then we get down to the main principles themselves. And what we do have is the law of treaties, or should this book exist. So it basically starts off with a view as to where we are with treaties, should we be having them, and what is going to happen to them. Now, the reason that we were interested in dealing with this particular subject is because treaties are very important, and we in the United Kingdom are currently wrestling with a treaty we signed, which was to join the European Union. And that issue itself, the binding of the treaty, how you get out of it, how you might change it, all of those issues are going to be very much to the forefront in the general election next year. So this has got a practical application as well as the academic content which is being put forward. Now, we've given it the title, The Modern Law of Treaties, Changes and Challenges. And what we've said is this, we've written it together, my wife Elizabeth and I have produced this review, and we've said, for researchers, scholars and international lawyers seeking additional breadth and depth of understanding within this often bewildering and complex subject, this recent title from Edward Elgar Publishing is a real find. The general aim is to present an authoritative explanation of a range of key issues in international treaty law. And authoritative it is. No less than 24 international academics and solicitors have contributed more than 20 articles that comprise this volume. Included among them are the 3 editors. That's Christopher J. Tams, who is Professor of Public International Law at the University of Glasgow, Antonio Tzanakopoulos, who is Associate Professor of Public International Law at Oxford University, and apologies if I've not pronounced that name correctly, and Andreas Zimmermann from the University of Potsdam, who's also Professor of Public International Law. And their introduction establishes with considerable clarity the perspective and intent of the book, namely to subject the realities and challenges of treaties in all their bewildering variety to rigorous and thoughtful analysis. And I've said before, one of the points about this is that this is going to be an important issue because of the conflict which is clearly mounting at the moment of British membership of the European Union and how binding the treaties really are. So I think the handbook is very apt, very appropriate. In more or less elementary terms then, a treaty is, in most respects, an agreement and ideally a contract. But is it indeed binding? And that's of course a big issue. Or should it be binding temporarily or in perpetuity? Obviously there is no one answer, because also obviously every treaty is going to be different. The editors remind us of certain fundamentals relating to treaties without which international law and international relations would scarcely exist. We benefit, for example, in most instances from boundary treaties, human rights treaties and such matters as passport regulations derived from treaties. In other words, the movement of people, again, part of the European Union issues from the Treaty of Rome downwards. Some treaties, say the editors, reflect the international community's hope for a more just world order. Others entrench grave injustices. It's not too difficult to recall here the number of treaties throughout history that have been violated or ignored. Yet, as the editors imply, treaties function as the principal instrument for ordering international relations, and apparently around 56,500 treaties have been registered with the United Nations since the end of World War I. Who knew that, for instance? And this figure in no way reflects the total. Quote, foundational and ubiquitous treaties are, unsurprisingly, in need of a legal framework, say the editors, and therefore merit careful study as a specialist subject. So with its original, thought-provoking and densely argued commentaries, this book makes an important contribution to the literature of international law and should be of particular interest to academics, researchers and international lawyers, especially those seeking new perspectives on the matter of treaties and EU law. As I say, this matter I think will be of predominant importance in 2015. The publication date is cited at 2014, and let me just show you the book again. There it is. That's the side, and then there's the back. It's a heavy book and it's a hardback as well. It runs to something approaching 650 odd pages, but again, just opening it towards the back, you can see numbering, and you've got the footnotes and everything else. That deals with treaties and international organisations. You've got the regulation of treaties, which is dealt with right at the front, and that in itself I think is an important point. And as I indicated before, do read the introduction, which I think puts things in a very useful modern setting as to where we are today. Make no mistake about it, treaties would have been with us for a long time now, of course, will continue to be with us, and we have to get agreement where we can. It's always one of those difficult things, and I think this is a wonderful contribution to the literature of the law of treaties, and I'd like to thank all the people involved, Edward Elgar in particular, of course, for the very high quality of the work that they have produced, and of course the wonderful work from the contributors. Thank you to all concerned. Bye-bye.